Welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show. It is Friday, October 11th, and the third hour. Every Friday can only mean one thing. What just happened? As we look back at the insanity of the week, we have two great returning champions. A third might join. Who knows? But back, Laura Laham performed all over the U.S., the Middle East, Canada. She co-creator of a show called A Deadly Sin comedy show in New York City. And next week will be part of the New York Arab American Comedy Festival right here in New York City. Laura, nice to see you, my friend.
Nice to see you too. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
She's back. She'll tell us about what happened in Canada at some point. You'll have to share that.
Mhm.
And Tara Dublin's back, political activist, very funny person. Substack newsletter that you've got to subscribe to, and author of the book, The Sound of Settling, a Rock and Roll Love Story. Tara, nice to see you.
Always great to be back with you, Dean. I'm very happy to be here.
Swifties for Harris. We're going to have the Swifty.
You know it, girl,
leaders.
you know it's true.
That's good.
Let's do this.
Girl, you know it's true. I think that was a Nilly Vanilli song, though. But
it is, but you know what? We're ready for it. That is a Taylor Swift song. Okay, let's do this.
Fair. Let's not. Okay, I think Tara's about to fight me. Let's not. Okay, let me ask you this. And I shared with you a clip. I played it on my show yesterday. I've had doctors on. It's not me. I've had mental health professionals on. Others have written articles saying red flags about Donald Trump showing early signs of dementia. And all I want is corporate media to cover it, not to have me on, but to have a doctor on who's written about it for Stat or other publications, what they're seeing. And they won't do it. There's something wrong with his brain. And I know people go like, well, there's always been something wrong. This is different. This is really, it doesn't even make sense anymore. So Tara, I'll start with you. What is going on? Why won't corporate media have on doctors, mental health professionals who are writing about this?
I don't know. I know that over at MSNBC, there are cooler heads prevailing, and they are talking about it, and they are pointing to the fact that he can't answer a question, and that he rambles, and that he doesn't, because he doesn't have any answers. But his obvious decline has just gotten worse since Kamala Harris became the nominee, because the lack of sleep was already evident, but the fact that he's haunted. He's haunted by the fact that he's going to lose to a Black woman. And so all of it is contributing. The lack of sleep. I think he's lying. I think he drinks, even though he says he doesn't. I think his Diet Coke is spiked, and it's mixing badly with whatever medication he's on, and it's exacerbating his decline. And it's not really funny. If you're thinking about, like, if that person was sitting at your Thanksgiving table going on like that, you'd be like, is there a home health aide we can call in here?
Right.
Because it's really not funny. And so I think what we need to do as a society, because the conversation is beginning, we just need to be louder, and we need to demand more of the corporate media and say, we don't want you talking about this. We want you talking about this. And it really is incredibly important, because I still don't know how we're here. I still don't get how he's our nominee, but their nominee, but like in our face, he's in our face. It's been 9 years of this plague. Like, I don't get it. But really, at this point, if they're not reporting on it, it's up to people like us who have some visibility to make those demands.
I agree. By the way, Tara, do you have two cats, or did I just see?
I do have two
twice?
cats.
Okay, because I thought it was like the scene in the Matrix where he saw a cat twice.
No. There are
like,
two
there's a
of
glitch
them.
In the Matrix. All right, so there is.
Honey,
a cat.
I am JD Vance's nightmare.
There's a cat lady, and people can't see it at home, obviously. But if you watch the YouTube video, you'll see there's two different cats, and I really felt like the scene in the Matrix where Keanu Reeves goes, "I just saw the cat twice." They're like, "Oh, that's a glitch," and they're coming for us, which they could be coming.
Glitch, also a Taylor Swift song. We have two.
Everything's a Taylor Swift song, apparently. I don't even know.
It all comes back. I'm telling you, it's the Illuminati.
There was Donald Trump in 2020 and 2016 who, while I didn't like what he said, it sort of made sense. And he was like this loud, like this. Now he's like, and then, these things came down. I'm like, no one else sees this. There's something wrong. So Laura, shouldn't the guy could be commander in chief in charge of the military? He can launch missiles at anybody and no one could stop him. And he doesn't know where he is.
Yeah. But like, to your point, when you're saying like, why isn't corporate media talking about this? It's because they have absolutely no incentive to. I mean, like, Trump has never had to be coherent. He didn't have to be coherent in 2016. He didn't have to be coherent in 2020. He doesn't have to be coherent now. Like, he's not here to play political baseball. He's literally not here to like show his tax filings or give you like an economic plan based in data. Like, that doesn't matter. The reason that he's here is to be a content creator. That's literally his job. And the sooner the media just treats him like one, like that's literally like that's the way that they're treating him. He's a content creator. So it doesn't matter if he even says anything. He just has to go up on a stage in front of what he will say thousands, what video evidence will show to be tens of people, and just literally blabber. Like he can say nonsense. It doesn't matter. Like he needs just the airtime. If honestly we're going to treat him like a content creator, I think there's more interesting people to talk about, like Talk to a Girl, for example. He's literally just there to distract us. And I think that's what he's doing well.
Yeah, I think you put it well. He's a content creator and he's content for corporate media. And they've made a choice that he's great for ratings. He's really no longer great for ratings. I think it's corporate executives. He's great for their low taxes and less regulation so they can make more money, because it's no longer great for ratings, this guy. They're just helping him win. And he was on this week with comedians, Andrew Schultz, who I used to know. I haven't seen Andrew in a long time, but I knew him from comedy in New York, where Andrew Schultz asked him a question and Trump gave a 12-minute answer. And at the end, Andrew Schultz actually mocked him to his face, but Trump doesn't get it. And he's like, that's brilliant. You weave. He goes, let's weave back. Let's weave back the question. He goes, we don't even need to know the answer anymore, right? And he doesn't get it. Andrew Schultz is mocking him, as comedians do, in a subtle way. And Trump's like, you see, yeah, I'm brilliant. That kind of stuff. And to me, it was remarkable to see that, but it's part of the bro vote strategy. Going on podcasts with guys. There's these other guys called the Nelk Boys who Trump loves and they love him. And Tara, the idea of relying on young white men, primarily white men, there's some people of color, but young men, to be responsible enough to come out and vote is a fool's errand. And I can give data points in a second, but let me just get your visceral reaction to young men remembering to vote and that they're going to get out there when compared to young women, let's say.
I honestly, I don't feel like that's the incentive for them. I think the incentive for them, to Laura's point, is creating content, because they can chop those up and send them out and make it look like Donald Trump is winning a race that he is losing badly. But also, to your point, I watched some of it. I mean, I can't sit and watch him for very long, but the fact that the posture of the comedian, Andrew was sitting back like this, and he was like mocking him to his face. And he was like, so you just don't answer. Like, he's like, bro, I have you. Like, I own you. You're so pathetic. I'm mocking you to your face. And that Trump doesn't get it. Like, that was my takeaway. So if he's going to keep going on these podcasts. And again, I think he's doing it to mimic what Kamala Harris is doing, because they're watching their campaign go the non-traditional route with interviews and seeing how successful it is for them. And so they have nothing to run on. They have nothing original. They're trying to distract, like you said. So going on these podcasts creates content to distract. That's what the white guys do best. They're the dipshit bully army that follows Elon Musk. These guys who like sat in the back of remedial English making fun of anybody who made fun of the smart kids. This is the literal bully pulpit, and it's weak. And so they really don't have anything except sitting around going, bro, 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 bro. That's what they've got now. So that's where they are. And it's almost like, let them do it, because like you said, a 12-minute answer is just like, here he goes digging himself into a deeper hole, and let him do it. Because by comparison, you have Kamala Harris going on Call Her Daddy, fucking owning it. And then you have Donald Trump blathering on like an idiot. So let him hang himself, with his own words, is what I say.
What do you think, Laura, of the idea too of really, there was another article in Politico today that the Trump people are even saying like they're kind of giving up on trying to attract new women that aren't on their side already, because they don't have anything for them. He's the guy that ended Roe v. Wade and said he was honored to do so. So he's the reason women are being forced to carry a fetus against their will, which is one of the most personal things out there. That's not political. That's personal. And so they're relying on the bro vote. What do you think, from your experience with talking to young guys, comics and the like, are they reliable? Are they the type that make sure they get out to vote on November 5th and show up when they're supposed to do the stuff when they're supposed to?
I mean, first of all, I feel like that's not even the beginning of the conversation with like young male comics reliable. But sure. Here's the thing about the bro vote. or just anything bro-y in general, like my take is anything that men only like is bad. Like that's just true. Like Joe Rogan, stuck porn, Breaking Bad. I'd put Elon Musk in that case as well. Like anything only men like, probably not that good. And just in general, historically, men have not made great decisions. Like fraternities, wars, the people who keep making DC films. I'm assuming any decision, it is my firm belief that like men just need to like stick to what they're good at, which is like fighting bears and playing Call of Duty. And let like the thing is, like, the only time I've ever seen a group of guys make a good decision was on Queer Eye. You know what I mean? And even then, one of them is non-binary. So it doesn't. I think that at this point, what we need to do as a society is let the men just play video games and leave the fascist government running up to women who do it best, which I believe are Alabama sorority girls.
So Alabama sorority. And by the way, just for some statistics for people, because I appreciate both what you said, but let me add some data. In 2020, first of all, women always vote at larger numbers than men. Always, not just this election, always. That's more women are registered to vote than men, right? For starters, right? Because that involves something, planning, right? In 2020, young women voted 55%. Compared to young men at 44%. So you had a huge 11-point gap in just turnout. And that was before Roe v. Wade was overturned, where this is very personal. So you have women who are motivated by their own freedom, their own fundamental rights, versus guys who are like growing it up. And they have to remember, and young men are the most easily distracted. Like if there's something on TV that day, there's like a rerun of the Platoon, like a World War II movie or something they might watch, or it's like video game. Like I think Harris should have a video game tournament going on at the exact same time, with November 5th being the $1 million prize, and they'll just stay home. Or if someone brings over some weed and they just get high, they will forget. Women will not. That's the thing. When I used to do college shows, every organization I went to, women ran the organizations. If guys did it, it was not good. It was always women. So they were organized. They got it. And also this touches them personally. These bros, like they might be laughing now. They're going to go vote. Yeah, we're going to go vote. November 5th, so a pizza gets delivered. Like, yeah, I forgot to vote, bro. Sorry, they don't give a shit. I mean, seriously, there's nothing personal. It's like a vibe thing. So I think, Tara, this is a loser. I think the bro vote, I hope they lean into this. They keep putting ads at football games. Good luck with that. Good luck with the young bro vote.
But also to your point, I mean, Tim Walz was in the World of Warcraft world on Twitch the other night. So it's finding that balance of reaching out to those, because I'm sure, the guys who don't feel like they're seen, maybe they're the nerdy ones, like the Nerds and Geeks call that they did for Kamala Harris was hugely successful. And so leaning into the World of Warcraft thing, I think was really smart for Harris Walz. But to your point, like, I mean, and I am the mother of two young white men who are Gen Z. And I have to say, they are both very motivated to vote for Kamala Harris because they feel like they have something to vote for instead of something to vote against. But the young white bro vote that it identifies as MAGA, they didn't show up for him in 2020. So what makes anybody think they're going to show up again? And women are angrier now. And now we also have Black women voting at numbers even higher than 2020. So if everybody would just take a note and vote like Black women and elect more Democratic Black women to positions of power, this country will run like a well-oiled machine. Because when Democratic women run, stuff gets done. But then if it's a Democratic Black woman, more stuff gets done. Women can multitask, men cannot. So that's why Kamala Harris as president makes so much sense for billions of reasons, but also she's going to be able to handle things happening, a million things happening all at once, which men just can't. So there's a lot of reasons to lean into the younger women vote and Black women vote. Women in general need to vote. And if I could, just a siren clarion call, white women, I am collecting you. Consider yourselves gathered. Stop voting for Donald Trump. Who wants to live in Project 2025? Because it's going to come for you too. like that's what also frustrates me is that Republican women don't seem to understand that they will not be safe under Project 2025 just because they voted Republican. Nuh-uh, a birthing vessel is a birthing vessel, ladies. Let's go.
And Tara, you made great points. I think I can't. I was reading, so I can't do both. So I'm not sure, but
because you can't multitask.
I can't multitask. So I think you were making some great points there while I was reading at the same time. No, you made some great points, and the gender gap in this election is tremendous. Right, the news poll Times Siena survey this month showed Harris up 16 points with women, and Trump up 11 with men, which is more than he got with Biden overall. But still, women are going to vote in bigger numbers than men. That always happens. And we know that's going to happen now because guys are so easy to just get distracted. They're like little cats. You have a little shiny object. Like, oh my God. And in some of the key battleground states, she's up by 20 points. Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, because in these states, they understand that they were really going to pick the president. I mean, to be blunt. And I keep telling people the issues about reproductive freedom are not political. I mean, Laura, nothing is more personal than these Republicans saying, here's my religion. Now it's the law, and I'm going to force you to carry a fetus against your will to term. That's pretty personal.
I mean, I agree, but I mean, to Tara's point, like, sure, yeah, women can multitask and historically have been able to far better than men. And personally, I'm really excited for Kamala Harris to be able to multitask several genocides at the same time. I'm just not that excited for either candidate because neither of them have the guts to actually say what's happening, which is that they're all run by corporate America and they're all run by their personal interests. They'll hide behind their religion. I think even things like Roe v. Wade is a distraction. They'll hide behind that and say like they're going to pass all these laws because they want to enforce a specific type of moral living, like quality of life. But the only thing they actually want to do is support their own business interests, which unfortunately fall into like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon. So it doesn't matter who you vote for. Both of them are going to stoke wars across the world and kill brown people. So
look, I think there's on different issues you might see an overlap. I think on other domestic issues that it's so huge gap between the two of them.
Is
I mean, no, well, you can go through the whole list and Tara can chime in here, but obviously reproductive freedom being one, on the issue of taxes, on climate change, on gun violence. These are the issues. Now, can they turn those visions and their policies they propose into law is more challenging because of Congress. And to your point about big money, Laura, to me, big money is the fact that it's been legalized in our system is the most corrupting and soul sucking for people who don't want to get involved. They'll say like, why does it matter? Because big companies run everything. And seeing Elon Musk, the oligarch hanging out with Trump, is ushering in the oligarchy that we are seeing right in front of us. So to your bigger point about money in politics, I agree. It is completely corrupting. I think that there are corporate Democrats. I think there are other Democrats who are not corporate Democrats. There's less corporate Democrats than there once were, but there's still some out there. And they get their big money from super PACs and big Wall Street people. And
I would say still reality. Even the bulk of them are corporate Democrats. So, and if you want to talk about any of these domestic issues, they're far more reaching than just domestic. We're going to talk about climate change and all of that. Great. Then let's talk about how much carbon emissions dropping one bomb does.
No, that's very fair. No, believe me, on foreign policy, I think in tone, Vice President Harris is vastly different than Trump. But the question is in practice and in policy. And we don't know. And that, so I agree, and I just had Layla Elabad on yesterday, co-creator of Uncommitted and co-founder of Uncommitted. And we had a very honest conversation about where people are in Michigan and the Arab and Muslim community broader. And their view is we have to defeat Trump. I mean, that's their official view. And that's what she's saying. The question is, and they're begging people in third parties, in battleground states, not to vote third party. But at the same time, they're not going to endorse Harris. So they're sort of like, we want you to vote for Harris, but we're not going to say it. So that's as close as we can get. While others in the community are voting for Harris and others are voting for Jill Stein and some are voting for Trump because I know some of them and they're crazy people, but some of them are voting for Donald Trump. And look, every community, no community is monolithic. And as the Arab American and also the Muslim community, which are separately overlap, grow, there'll have more divides within our community. And that's fine. That's healthy. But I know exactly what you're saying. And I'm talking with Tara Dublin and Laura Laham. So let's talk about Obama. He spoke yesterday in Pittsburgh, gave a fiery speech. He taunted Trump, saying, yeah, Trump keeps saying the economy was good. He goes, yeah, it was pretty good because it was my economy. No one talks about that. The guy inherited a great economy. Unemployment went slightly down under Trump, slightly, and then he left and it was a nightmare. And they go, well, if it wasn't for COVID, oh, you mean if it wasn't for the challenge, it would have went swimmingly? Yeah, because he inherited a very solid economy. The test of a president is not everything is great. It's when difficult times happen, and Trump failed horribly. So, Tara, what do you think about Obama being on the campaign trail? And do you think that has an impact in getting people to come out to vote, seeing him?
It absolutely has an impact. And he's such still our greatest public speaker of our generation. I genuinely believe that. And I was there at the DNC that night when he followed Michelle and they both spoke and they inspired everybody and he made the crowd size joke. He has no fucks to give, and neither does Joe Biden. So out there telling the truth about Trump is what all Democrats with a platform need to be doing. And it goes back to your earlier point. Why isn't the corporate media talking about how he's sundowning? Obama almost made a diaper joke last night. Yeah. He let the crowd guy do it for him. But it's so incredibly important to have such a respected, still, he's so respected, he's so popular, and he is out there stumping for Kamala Harris. At the same time, Bill Clinton is also out there doing it. There are so many excellent, we have such a wonderful deep bench of surrogates who are out there. And what they're able to do is to communicate the ridiculousness of everything Donald Trump is doing, especially this hurricane response, to lie to the American people and say that the White House isn't responding to the states that have been just destroyed by hurricanes Helene and Milton, to say that there's no FEMA response, to say that the White House isn't doing anything to endanger people like the way that they're doing. It's ridiculous. And so it's absolutely necessary that someone as popular as Barack Obama, who gets cameras on him, even corporate media pays attention and shows it to mainstream America, the truth above all matters. And so while there are so many other things going on, above all else, us telling the truth about who Donald Trump is and the detriment to what he would be to this country if he was ever allowed near the White House, particularly when it comes to women. And what we're seeing, and, you know, the situation in the Middle East is so layered and so difficult, and we're not going to solve it right now in this discussion.
No, we are.
But I mean, if there was an easy solution, it would have been solved already. And as a Jewish American, I'm very invested in having it solved, and I want it. You know, I just want everybody to get along, and I'm afraid that my cat is going to, there he is. Okay. So here's what I have been telling people when it comes to this. Right now, my number one single voter issue is making sure that women exist in the future, like that we're not destroyed, that we're not controlled, that I'm not disappeared in a Project 2025 America run by Donald Trump. But what I've also been telling my friends who are super concerned is that there's one administration that would care about ending the situation in the Middle East, and an administration who would care about exacerbating it and making it worse. There's one administration that would take care of women at home, and there's one administration that wants to control women at home. And so to me, the differences are glaring, and that if you are looking for an administration that's actually going to give a shit about human beings, that administration is going to be run by Democrats. Democrats inherit messes that Republicans make. They clean up those messes, and then a Republican comes in and shits all over it. So this is what look at this administration cleaning up the mess that Donald Trump made. They have done an amazing job turning around the economy. Inflation is at 2.4% right now. If you want to talk about data, it was 6.7% when Donald Trump left office. And so, again, the president of the United States is not a magician, mommy or daddy, who are going to snap their fingers and fix everything overnight, but they will actually work for the American people way more than Republicans ever will. Republicans remove, Democrats deliver. And again, they want everyone to, I think Democrats are truly the better pro-life party. We can get into the weeds, but Democrats want you to have a healthy pregnancy. When you decide you want to start a family, they want that baby to be born healthy. No one is executing babies after birth, Donald Trump. And then we want you to thrive during your life. And then at the end of your life, be able to live on the retirement that you paid into your whole life. And so it's about, you know, quality of life. and what kind of life you want to have. And that's what you should be voting for first and foremost. And then we can take care of the world's ills as well. I will finish this rant by saying, at least the Biden-Harris economy lifted up other world economies at the same time, instead of Donald Trump going out there and flinging his diaper all over everything and bringing the world down along with him.
So, all right, let's take
whose world economy.
I mean, that's a lot. I know that's a lot, but
right. Well, I don't look. Perhaps when the U.S. is doing well, we float the boats of other economies. I'm not sure.
It would help too if people would talk about the economy truthfully.
Right,
the economy is booming.
Right,
it's
the domestic
booming.
economy from when Biden came into office, when unemployment in that last full month of Trump was at 6.7%. Now it's at 4.1%. Inflation went up, but then it's come down, and wages are up. Certain people are still struggling, and that's the reality, and other people are doing well. What I'm really concerned in America is about the income inequality gap that's really growing now. We see it. The more billionaires were made during COVID in a contracted amount of time that's off the charts. And we are heading into an oligarchy that it's going to only a Democratic administration, if they have the power with the Congress, can address that by raising taxes on the wealthy. Republicans never will. So, look, there is a difference between at least in terms of policy that they aspire to. Can they effectuate that? I'm not sure. But, Laura, is big money in politics corrupting and a cancer? Yeah, 100%. It's really off. I tell people all the time, when these politicians say the things like, oh, I listen to everyone who the same, you're a moron. If you listen to me and I can only vote for you the same as someone who gave $10 million to Super PAC, you're a liar or you're an idiot. Because you should listen to the person who gave you $10 million to Super PAC more than you listen to me, because I can't do that. And everyone knows that. And it's one of the few things that unites us on the left and the right in America, getting big money out of politics. And I think it'll take a constitutional amendment by the people, because the court won't do it and Congress won't do it. It'll take the people doing it. And still you need Congress for a constitutional amendment. But that's the problem there. All right, so let's take a quick break. We're going to come back. We'll talk about the Vice President Harris media blitz, Call Her Daddy podcast, Stephen Colbert and others. Does that make a difference? And hurricane misinformation, which is just downright dangerous on so many levels. And we have time to talk about Al Pacino being really happy to be a dad at 84 with his Arab American wife, or the mama who's she is. So let's take a quick break. Come back with more of the show right after this. Ready? We're coming right back. And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show. We're continuing here Friday, October 11th, with what just happened with Laura Laham and Tara Dublin joining us to talk about the stories of the week. So this week, Vice President Harris did a media blitz because the media is like, you got to go in the media more. And they still weren't happy. But she went on 60 Minutes. She went on The View. She went on Howard Stern. She went on Colbert. She went on Alex Cooper's Call Her Daddy podcast. She did a Telemundo town hall last night. And the big question is, does this matter? Does it help in the big picture? So, Laura, when a candidate with Vice President Harris, for some reason, not known by certain people, so I get that. That's life. She says she's got to win over their votes. Going in this media blitz, does it help?
It definitely helps. I mean, visibility is always going to help, and making yourself more of a platform is always going to help. And honestly, whatever IV cocktail of vitamins and steroids she's on, I need, because I had to drag myself out of bed this morning. So the fact that she even has energy to do all that, good for her. Here's the thing I will say, though, all those opportunities to say something that would get her more of the millennial Gen Z vote, BIPOC vote, more people of, I guess, more, just earn more trust in those communities. Like even saying like she'd condition aid to Israel, or I don't think we should genocide brown children. Like all those opportunities to say even just the simplest line and still nothing is a little disappointing.
The one thing, look, I didn't watch all of her appearances. I don't think foreign policy came up, and that's true. Mm-hmm. Her language of the DNC was unlike any Democratic candidate nominated before. But everybody I talk to in our community wants more than words, right? They want policy.
Right.
And so that's the next step for her. And I wonder as this race gets tighter and tighter in Michigan, because every state, oh my God, Tara, in states where Trump was leading by 2, like Arizona and in Georgia, it's gone back to the middle. Where Harris was leading by 2, it's gone back to the middle. Of course, you can find a poll showing you're up, anybody's up at any day. Today, there was polls, Wall Street Journal, flipping the polls from yesterday. So in this kind of close race, how do you animate people? Because it's going to be who turns out people who are leaning towards you and who like you, like the bros. Trump's going to try to get the bros, free pizza and weed, that kind of stuff, right? But so how do you animate people in these closer races now?
you go on a media blitz and you go places where you're going to get seen by 50 million people or something like that. Because if you look at the circulation for the podcasts and interviews that she did, those are millions and millions of people that she reached with free airtime. So how many people listen to Howard Stern? How many people watch The Late Show? Call Her Daddy is the #2 podcast in the world, and that gets 5 million downloads a week. So, and she reaches Gen Z women like no one else, Alex Cooper. So that was a huge, huge podcast for her. And the fact that she went on 60 Minutes and Donald Trump rejected 60 Minutes when he should have gone on was also big, to show the glaring differences between the two of them. She'll go where, you know, the people are going to see her, and she doesn't owe corporate media anything.
I know.
She's not required to sit down with anyone. And I, you know, because the media is the way it is, I don't know if you know this, but she did sit down with Arab American and Muslim leaders in Michigan last week, had a meeting with them, asked them what it is that they expect from her as president. They had a very frank conversation about the situation in the Middle East, and she promised them that she and President Biden are still working on it. They sent Anthony Blinken over there again, so they're still working on it. And again, we already said there's no easy solution, but she is going places where she is wanted. She is accepting invitations where it matters. She's going to sit down with Charlemagne the God, who has been a major critic of her previously.
Right.
So she's going to sit down with the Breakfast Club and she's going to talk to them. She is sitting down in the barbershops. She is going to the people. So that's where she is. And she's meeting them where she's being asked to. She's also going on CNN to do a town hall because Donald Trump won't debate with her again. So, you know, everyone needs to stop criticizing, like, get off her jock. She's everywhere. She is as ubiquitous as she can be. And to Laura's point, I would love to know what vitamins she's taken. She's glowing. She's happy. She's energetic. And it's not just the joy. It's the humanity. It's the reactions from people who are super excited to meet her, from little Black girls seeing the representation to adults who are saying that they voted for Trump last time and they're very excited to vote for her now. She's got more Republican support than the Republican nominee.
She does.
So we have a lot of positive things to be focused on.
And let's not forget, she's also of South Asian descent, and that there are a lot of Indian Americans. I've spoken to people in the community who are excited about her. But look, Laura, if we had another debate, and Trump won't do another debate, issues on foreign policy, of course, like last time, would be talked about. And I really think, you know, Vice President Harris last night brought up again, Trump won't debate me a second time. I think if corporate media should stop whining about access to Harris and pressure Trump to do another debate, because then all the issues of concern and maybe more things that you want to hear and other people in the community want to hear would be talked about. But when you're going to go on Colbert and stuff, you're not going to talk about foreign policy seriously, but you will at a debate. So do you think corporate media should be pressing? Because I have to be honest, if Harris would not agree to a second debate, I think that corporate media and Republicans and even a few Democrats would be saying you should do another debate. Right
it would
now,
be the top story.
Absolutely.
Corporate media's like,
Absolutely.
well, whatever, it's okay. You don't want to do another debate. They should be like, this is bullshit. You should do a second debate. This is to be commander in chief.
This is something that I think you put it in a very specific way that I appreciate, is that like he's just trying to stay in his safe space and only talk to his yes men, who aren't even his yes men, because as you saw with like Andrew Schultz, like they were openly mocking him to his face.
I know.
And he couldn't even pick up on that. But to be fair, this is also not the first time in history that there has been a double standard applied to a woman running for the same position as a man. And I hope Hillary Clinton hears me say that. And I hope she cries all the way to her next book tour stop.
And that's why President Obama yesterday, and I'll call him president, I'll never call Trump president. I don't care that he's former president. Last night, Obama said point blank, to address, I guess, the lingering concern that they learned from Hillary about telling men that the concerns, he said, I'm sorry, gentlemen, I've noticed that especially with some men who think Trump's behavior, the bullying and putting down people as a sign of strength, I'm here to tell you that's not what real strength is. And that he appealed to men specifically, going, strength is about what a person does to stand up against bullies. And also, apparently, in the reporting is, he didn't say this in the speech, that he said before he went on to people at the the event there, about men of color. He talked about specifically having some concerns deep down. He didn't use the word sexism, but that's what he was getting at. So, Tara, what do you think about openly addressing that? Because, there were probably some guys at the end of the day that didn't vote for Hillary because of sexism. And that's the truth. That's the reality of it. So addressing it head on, is that one of the ways to cure it or to reduce it?
I think that's absolutely the way, because if you don't talk about what the biggest problem is, then the problem doesn't get solved. And so what they need is an example. I mean, is there a stronger example of a man supporting women than Barack Obama and Joe Biden? They love their wives. They openly support them. They gave speeches at the DNC exalting their wives and the female nominee for president. Strong men who are confident in themselves have no problem supporting women. Men who bully women are intimidated by them. Bullying is weakness. And as someone who has been MAGA bullied every single day online for 9 years, starting with the fact that Donald Trump blocked me on Twitter 9 years ago, weak men are afraid of strong women. Men who are confident, men who know who they are, men who have no problem standing up for a woman, that's a real man. Because men always talk about, a real man does this and a real man does that. Yeah, a real man's not a bully. A real man is confident enough to go, she's going to be amazing. Look at Doug Emhoff. You wanted to see an example of the kind of man you should be emulating. It's Doug Emhoff. Openly loves his wife, openly supports her success, still has had a career of his own while supporting her. And now he is such a mensch. We're going to make First Gentleman stick to him. I love Dougie Fresh. So the message needs to be a strong, confident man feels great about supporting a woman in a position of power. He's able to see his own accomplishments as his own and look at her and say, her accomplishments takes nothing away from me. Because that's what it is. It's her accomplishments by comparison. If they feel less than, that's what they're overcompensating for. Donald Trump's entire life is walking around with those chips on his shoulders. So he's overcompensating. A strong man supports a strong woman.
Well, what do you think? Do strong men? I mean, when you deal with, in the world of comedy, you meet a lot of people with with challenges, and some are confident, secure people, and others are not. And in real life, apart from comedy as well, do you think the fact that there are some men who won't support a woman in anything, be it comedy, or from saying women aren't funny, that kind of bullshit that we've heard for so long that continues to be talked about, to even voting for a president for women, not about an issue. If there was an issue they didn't like about her, that's one thing. But just like, I just don't know about her. Like, I know what you're saying. She's a woman. How do you address that? How do we overcome that as a society? It's a societal question more than a political one.
Yes, that's a good point, especially because I personally espouse the idea that men aren't funny. Donald Trump has never made men are not funny.
Not intentionally.
Donald Trump has never made me laugh, which is unfortunate because apparently he's comical, according to Andrew Schultz, hysterical even. I think it's just such a limited worldview to say, I won't vote for a woman just because she's a woman. I won't vote for a person just because they're X, Y, or Z. Like it all comes from bigotry, right? It all comes from a place of terrified hatred. The
fear of female comics. When still to this day, I see lineups at comedy clubs in 2024 where there's 8 comics, 1 woman, and the booker did that by design. And that's a typical thing. Like, I don't mean in the shows that you produce. I mean in the club shows all the time. It's still, and you look at it and I'll find it, because sometimes I'll look at the lineup. I'm like, wow, it's 8 white guys. And I'm like, and they were all guys. They weren't even like brown or black. Or there'll be like 1 guy of color and 1 woman and 6 white guys. And that's in clubs today in New York City in 2024. So I'm sure, Laura, you see that too. And that we know deep down, there's a bias right there that's motivating that.
There's a bias, and it comes from a place of fear. It comes from a place of, especially for men, for white men, they've all been promised a specific type of lifestyle, a specific quality of you're going to be the most successful. And then anytime anything comes in that might threaten that might be out of the norm for them, it's just immediate like fear. And then that turns into the bigotry. That turns into women aren't funny. Why would we have women on the lineup? It's like, oh, because they're more talented.
I like that.
Smarter.
Men are not funny. You should write an op-ed. You'll get a lot of pushback, but you'll get a lot of notoriety in a good way. I think it's a very good idea. Men are not funny because no one is inherently funny. No gender is inherently funny. People are funny based on doing the work of being a comedian and writing an act and honing it over time. And that's the funny we're talking about, Laura and I. Not like you're funny in the office. Yeah, whatever. That's different. I'm talking about comedians, right? That takes a lot of hard work. And whoever's going to do the work is going to be funny. I've seen people who were not funny at open mics early on in their career, literally not funny, later have a very flourishing career because they put the work in. They weren't funny. They just learned this way of communicating through this unique type of art form, which is comedy. And, you know, that's the kind of thing. So let's Tara, you brought this up earlier. I'm chatting with Tara Dublin and Laura Laham. Tara, the hurricane stuff. One of the most intriguing, like Trump said a lot of bullshit ones. The weirdest one was Marjorie Taylor Greene saying they control the hurricanes. Don't tell me they don't. And she said that last week, right? And at first, and we covered it on the show last week, and I thought it was a one-off. She doubled down this week on it. And I'm like, what is wrong with your brain that you're going to say? And like in North Carolina, it only hits the Republican areas. North Carolina is so gerrymandered. The hurricane would have to go up 2 blocks, make a left, go up another block, make a right. Like, how is this? And she shared it, and a few members of Congress pushed back, and others amplify the bullshit. And she cited an article from a Gateway pundit. What is wrong with their brains to say she says they, which could be anyone. It could be your people, because she's not the best with the Jewish people with the space laser shit. So who are they? And where are we as a nation with one of the leading Republican members of Congress saying that Biden and Democrats control hurricanes?
It's insanity. It is pure insanity. It's one of those things where, like, I understand that the truth is really scary for a lot of people. But I mean, if we could control the weather, it would be 72 degrees and sunny in all of the blue states and nothing but hurricanes in the red states. It's moronic. Do you think Joe Biden is like the Wizard of Oz and has a machine behind a curtain, like a James Bond supervillain? It's crazy. It is crazy to hear. And then so people are talking about cloud seeding and cloud seeding causing hurricanes. And cloud seeding is when, like, you go to one very concentrated area that's like has a lot of drought. You put chemicals in the cloud and it makes it rain in this one space. And it doesn't make the wind turn, or it doesn't make anything shift, and it doesn't cause hurricanes. And, you know, wind doesn't make a 90-degree turn. People are idiots. It's so frustrating. It is so frustrating that they will twist themselves into conspiracy pretzels to avoid any truth that they don't like, but they'll believe any lie about Democrats on their face. It's insanity to me. And that's what like, I called Marjorie Taylor Greene and got her voicemail because no one works for her. I've called her often. She hates me. It's wonderful. And so I'm just like, Marjorie, come on now. She's broken on through to the other side. I also think it might be fear that Jack Smith is this close to arresting her for January 6th, because we got her on video. I don't know. The brain is broken.
Yeah, the brain's broken.
Right? And this is what's frustrating. You can't just, like, people aren't eating dogs and cats. People cannot control the weather. We really need to, this is why we need to elect Democrats, because this is why Republicans want to get rid of the Department of Education.
If we control the weather, first of all, a tornado would have taken Trump a long time ago.
Forever. Like, Mar-a-Lago would be flattened. Florida would be underwater.
Individual Jim Jordan up in the sky somewhere. He'd be flying around. Like,
Speaking of gerrymandering,
Marjorie Taylor Greene would not be existing. If I control like a little rainstorm, I would just have that cloud follow her. It's like, it's raining all the time. I'm like, that's me. It's all me. Laura, where have we gone? Where these people say this stuff and they believe it? There was other conspiracy theories that Trump said stuff too, like, oh, FEMA's giving you $750, and if you don't pay it back, they're going to take your house, which is an absolute lie. It's free money. It's tax money. I don't know what's happened to our society where the leaders of the other. What's happened?
I do not believe that Marjorie Taylor Greene actually believes that. I believe that she very much knows that saying that will get her press, and I very much believe that she knows saying that will fire up her base and Tara. But I'll tell you, like I was living in California during our we had some unprecedented wildfire seasons, like insane wildfire seasons, and politicians from Florida and California, or Florida and Texas rather, were making a statement, like making it a point to say that those wildfires are happening because of our politics, because we voted for a Democratic governor. And so I don't know, Marjorie Taylor Greene, maybe this is because they voted for you that these hurricanes are coming through.
I like that. That's why I wanted to call all the hurricanes Hurricane Trumps, because he rolled back all the climate era regulations. He really did. And that hastened these strong hurricanes by you roll back everything. The temperature of the ocean goes up. The temperature of the air goes up. The hurricanes become more ferocious. Everyone warned us. And if they win Project 2025, and Trump have said they're going to roll back all the Biden era regulations. And Trump told the fossil fuel tycoons, give me $1 billion. You can just write your own policy. That'd be worse storms going forward. So there's no doubt. All right. Before we run out of time, I just want to give you both a chance to plug things that you're working on. You're both very talented. Tara, where can people find your work?
You can, first of all, buy my book, The Sound of Settling, a rock and roll love story at taradublinrocks.com. It is the ultimate fan fiction based on my real life meet cool with Dave Grohl back in 2001. Hey, there's no such thing as bad publicity, Dave, right? Anyway, I'm also on Twitter and TikTok at Tara Dublin Rocks, Threads and Instagram at Tara Dublin Rocks 1. And you can also sign up for my Substack, substack.com, Tara Dublin.
And the very funny Laura Laham, who is very funny. I've seen her before many times. Laura, where can people find your work, what you're producing, what you're working on? Of course, the Arab Comedy Festival. You might want to mention that. But go ahead.
Oh, is that? Yeah, no.
That's next week. That's important. You got to plug that. Sorry, go ahead. Plug whatever you want. It's up to you.
You can find me on Instagram at Laura Laham. I will also be at the Grizzly Pear tonight doing my show, Deadly Sin Comedy. And next week at the Arab Comedy Fest with Dean himself and Maysoon, two of my favorite people on the planet. And then I'll be going on tour with Ahmed Al Country. So like going all around the country. So.
And Ahmed's in the festival because you recommended him to us and brought him to attention. Very funny young guy, and I'm really glad to have him in the festival. ArabComedy.com. That's right, ArabComedy.com. And because you're listening to the show, I can give you $5 off, my friend Habibti. Email me, dean@deanofradio.com. I will give you a coupon, a promo code, $5 off. You guys were great. Thank you so much for being on for the whole hour. I really appreciate it. We're going to take a break, come back with